we're looking at visitor retention. It's great to have visitors in your service. It's all exciting when there's a new visitor. But what can be done? How can we see to it that the visitor comes back and comes back and comes back until they feel like they're a member, they get engaged, they start following after Christ and giving their life to Christ, etc., and so forth, and grow and are discipled and become a full-fledged member. So how can we gain that traction with that new visitor? So the convert, one of the challenges is the convert's in a new world with a lot to learn. The convert's comfort level is a challenge. So they're uncertain about you, they're kind of testing the waters, putting their toes in the waters, and there's a little tension there, uncertainty. But then the amount of work that it takes to follow up with visitors, if it's just the pastor or just the outreach director or the pastor and the outreach director, that's a lot of work and a lot of responsibility and a lot of things to follow up with. And so those are some of the challenges that we are trying to address with our plan from Brother Dan Kyle with Finish Line Planner. We believe there are opportunities to share the workload and to focus on the uniqueness of the visitor. Not every visitor is the same. And so by having customized plans for different visitors types and meeting their needs closes that gap really quick and increases the comfort level. And then match up the correct people on your team to address that type of person and their needs. The intimacy of a smaller group helps with visitors, okay? So when we mention in our advertising that it's the second invite that helps with retention, that second invite is to invite them to a group. That group can be youth group, ladies ministries, men's ministries, young mothers ministries, Sunday school, home fellowship group ministries, but a smaller group that is unique to their situation and their needs, and being invited, introduced and invited, and then follow up with how they experience with that smaller group. It helps with their comfort level. It helps them to develop friendships. It's meeting their need that they have that's unique to them. Instead of generically generalizing things, it's specific to a need. And there actually have been studies across churches that have shown that this does improve the stickability or the retention of the visitors. So we will demonstrate this in Finish Line Planner. Just give me a second here to switch the screens. Okay, so Skip, can you confirm that I am showing the Finish Line Planner screen?
Yes, you are. I can see the website.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to log in. This is at finishlineplanner.com. We're log into our demo. And it loads. Now, when you first log into Finish Line Planner yourself, you're going to see a screen more similar to this one here, where you add your first team members. You will enter their name, an email, and a texting phone number. Now, be aware when you add this texting phone number, that is an option. But when you do add it, the people's texting phone number that you are adding will receive text for the task that they've been assigned to on the day they are to work those tasks. So before you add them you probably want to reach out and let them expect to know that they're receiving text, and they're going to receive an email welcome them to Finish Line Planner. So when you first go in, just add yourself and maybe a close peer like a wife or assistant pastor or something, so they know what's going on when they receive those messages. And then wait till you have better, thorough plans for what you're going to be doing with Finish Line Planner before you add your other team members to this team member list. The first thing we want to do, there's 4 choices here on the menu: clipboard, plans, team, and models, and we're under the team component right now. We're going to go to the models component. Okay, a model is a pre-built plan. We're talking today about the follow-up and retention program. That was pre-built by Reverend Daniel Kyle. We have other plans on here, like church picnic, annual planning retreat, a fundraiser here for raising $30,000 in 30 minutes by reading your Bible. We have got community outreach, and here's some of the follow-up plans from Brother Dan Kyle: the follow-up couple model, the follow-up family, follow-up single dad, follow-up single man, follow-up single mom, follow-up single woman, home Bible study ministries. This is from Total Church Growth and Tim Massingale. Hosting a community event, individual coffee fundraiser. This is from churchcoffee.com on how to do a hospitality ministry in your church with coffee. New convert follow-up by Brother Carlton Kuhn. First Total Church Growth first year, Tim Massingale again. So you can see various ministers have contributed to these pre-built plans in our library, and this library continues to grow. And as a pastor, this saves you a ton of work because you can borrow a plan that somebody else has had and had success with. But you, and we'll show you here in a minute, get to customize this plan. So you can take away some things that don't apply to your situation, add other things that apply to your situation but didn't apply to theirs. But doing those few changes is just done in minutes. And you don't have to spend hours upon hours trying to design and plan the growth projects that your church needs to do. Okay, so under our models today, we are going to look at the follow-up plans, and there are the 6 here by Brother Dan Kyle. We mentioned earlier about the unique people and unique needs, and so you see here that with the couple, the family, the single dad, single man, single mom, single woman, there are various ministries in your church that will help them and that they need to be connected with. For today's sample, we're going to look at the follow-up family. So we're going to install this model. When I click on install, this is one place here where people get a little confused. It doesn't look like much happened, okay? But notice there's a section here called My Models in the Model Library. When we installed the follow-up family model, all it did was add it to the list of My Models. It didn't open it up. It didn't give you the details behind the plan. It just added it to My Models. So how do we get to look at this model? We need to go to the Plans menu. So we go to Plans. And under the Plans menu, we're going to add a plan. The Add a Plan button here. And then we're going to drop down the models here and choose one of the models from My Models. Notice if I had every model in the library here, this drop down would be super long. And so to keep it clean, that's why we have that section called My Models. Those are the models that you are actively using. And so I'm going to choose that model. And this follow-up plan, I'm going to name it after the family that we're going to follow up with. And that is the Ed Smith family. And then on the event dates, when I'm doing one of the follow-up plans, I'm really only concerned about the second or the end date, which is actually the date they came to church. And I'm going to choose on February the 5th was the Sunday that they came to church. And Finish Line Planner will fill both dates out as February the 5th. This, for the follow-up plans, this is the date that your visitors came to church. And then I'm going to click Create. So I now have a project called the Ed Smith family here. And the Ed Smith family came to church on February the 5th. All right. And I have a line here, our section called Ladies Book Club, and I got 2 steps in it: introduce Ladies Club, invite to Ladies Club. If I can click on this other line, Men's Ministry, for Men's Ministry, we have introduce Men's Ministry, invite to Men Ministries. Each of these sections that I'm clicking on, I call them buckets. So Married's Ministry is introduced to Married's Ministry, invite to Married's Ministry, Sunday School, Ladies Ministry, Deeper Life classes, and prayer. Okay, so now you can see that as a family, the various ministries are being engaged with this family. Notice the dates. These are dated out on purpose because you don't want to invite the family to every ministry at the same time. Okay, they'll be overwhelmed. And so there is a rollout plan here of how to do this. So we look at men's ministry. So this is we introduce them in 27th of February. We invite them in March 27th. For marrieds, it's February the 13th, and we invite them on February the 27th. For Sunday school, 13th of February, the 6th of March, and the 10th of April, we do a follow-up. Ladies ministries, we welcome to the church on 3-2, invite them to the ladies ministry on 4-6, and the second meeting on 5-5. And so things are spread out. So we got things to do, and we have dates to do them. For a task to be complete, it needs 3 components. It needs the thing to do, the first line. It needs when it needs to be done on the third line, which actually can be a date range, give people some time to work on something they don't have to do exactly on one given day. And Brother Kyle's church, it actually is a given day. And the second or third thing in the middle here is who's going to do it. So I dropped down the list of people from my team, and I'm going to put Linda Lady, the ladies director, on that task. So once I have the 3 components, what to do, who to do, and when to do it, notice the box turns white. That represents a scheduled task. Okay, a black box represents what we call a draft task. It's draft because it doesn't have all 3 components. So I'm going to invite to the Ladies Club. Again, we'll use Linda Lady from the Ladies Director. Then I'll move on to the Men's Ministry. And in the Men's Ministry, I am going to bring up Mike Manley. And we'll use Mike Manley. And under the Marriage Ministry, we will use Lovely Couple as the person to do this task. Sunday School, we're going to use Sam Sunday. Sam Sunday. Sam Sunday. And under Ladies Ministries, again, we'll use the Linda Lady. And then under the Deeper Life classes, we have Joe Outreach. And under the prayer, we have Pam Prayer Warrior. So now everything is scheduled. It's got all 3 components, and it is ready to go. Now, in your church, you may say, well, we don't have a books club, okay? And that's okay, because we can customize this, right? So I can get rid of the ladies book club. I can delete it, delete that milestone, or what I've been calling a bucket. Okay, and then I can add some things. So we introduced the men's ministry, we invite them to the men's ministry. I might want to add a task. So we cancel that. To add a task, what we do is, let's start over here, we open the bucket or open the milestone, and then task entry, we enter in the task. So I might want to tell them about Now I created a new task. I'll assign it to Mike Manley, and we want that to happen, let's say, on April the 3rd. But I'll give you a couple of days to work on it. So between April 3rd and April the 8th, you need to talk to him on this. So you have a date range here on this one. So now I've customized my follow-up plan. It's different than the follow-up plan that I got from the model library. Okay, so let's go now to the clipboard where we can see things in action. So here I have 3 tasks that should have been worked on either today or before today. Remember, this is, I backdated the attendee of the Ed Smith family to February the 5th on purpose so we can have some things to do today. And these are actually a little past due, so they would also show up on the past due tab. But I have 12 tasks here, it tells me, in the future. But let's just look at the today's task here. So the initial call from Joe Outreach, I completed that. This scroll bar here on the bottom represents a percentage in 25% increments. So I can go from 0 to 25 to 50, back to 25 to 50 to 75 to 100. Notice when I go 100, it turns green. And when I was with the 25 through 75, it was actually yellow. So the green one will mark finish, and I have a confirmation here because it is going to disappear from the screen. Okay, so meet the family. Well, I only met half of the family, so I'm going to mark this one at 50%. So it's yellow. So green is finished, you see here on the code in the bottom. Yellow's in progress, white is scheduled, and black is draft. Well, red is blocked. For some reason, half the family won't talk to me, so I'm going to mark this as blocked. So when a pastor logs into the clipboard and sees a red task, that's telling the pastor, hey, there's an issue. You need to contact Sam Sunday, ask him what the issue is, and help him work with that. That's what that red means, or a blocked task. But we resolved the problem, so we're going to put it back in progress. So this percentage bar here is the basis of your volunteers, just telling you how things are coming along. Okay, so we can now look into the future. And we can see things that are coming down the line in the future. So on Monday, this is orientation class. On the 27th, we're going to invite them to the marrieds meeting. And we're also going to introduce the men's ministry on the 27th. So we can see what's coming down in the future. Okay. On the past due task, or tab, excuse me, we can see there's 2 things that are past due. Even though we're halfway done with meeting the family, we're still running behind, and we've not introduced them to the marriage ministry yet. We're behind on that. And then in the recent work, you can see what is happening, or what has happened in the last 7 days. So in the last 7 days, this was completed, progress was made on this, and all these others were scheduled in the last 7 days. We currently have no draft. So earlier you saw the black task. Like if you didn't assign something or you didn't put dates on it, it'd be listed here under the draft tasks. And so that's what the different tabs are telling me. Now, who is Ed Smith family? How many members are in his family? What's his phone number? What do we know about Ed Smith family? So far, we've only assigned out tasks that people need to do with the Ed Smith family, but we've not communicated about the family. So to communicate about the family, we're going to attach a Dropbox document to the task. So this little box up here is, will open up a detail box about this task. There's a lot of information. One thing you could do is you can add notes. And I can add notes here that Ed is a nice guy. Add the note. When I add the note, notice the icon changed from what looked like a clipboard to a cartoon balloon. Click on the cartoon balloon. There is the note. But what I want to do is I'm going to go to Dropbox and attach a document. So I have the document here, the Ed Smith family. I'm going to choose it. And now the Ed Smith family is attached to this document. I can actually click that document open. And I can put the information in here. No, I hit the open button, sorry. I hit the open button here. Okay. Now I can put the information in. Ed Smith, about the church by Sam someone. The conversion was February the 5th, 2017. No, he's not had a Bible study. He's a male, married, yes. Spouse is Jill. 2 kids. Bob is 7 and Sammy is 5. His phone number here is 999-555-1212, etc. and so forth. And so, hang on a second here. I can go back, close this. Now notice this icon, the Dropbox icon. This document's attached to this task. In the current version of Finish Line Planner, you actually will have to attach that same document to all the tasks for the people that need that information. We are coming up with a future version here, hopefully within 6 months or so, that the attached documents will be attached across the whole project, so you don't have to do each task separately. But this Dropbox means that there is an attached task. I can click on the Dropbox, and there's the attached document. I can click on it, open it, read it, add more notes to it, etc. and so forth. So click it open. There's all my notes I added. And more notes can be added to that, etc. So now I have the information about the Ed Smith family. Okay. One of the challenges in starting to use Finish Line Planner is the adoption component. And so when you first start using Finish Line Planner with your members and volunteers, you might want to have a weekly meeting either before or after a service where they come in for 15 minutes or less. And what you do in that meeting, everybody stands, is what's called a stand-up meeting. Some people call it a tag-in meeting. You would want to have the Finish Line Planner clipboard on the screen. And with it on the screen, you can go task by task and ask people about their status. And so this Introduction to Marriage Ministry, we asked the lovely couple saying, hey, lovely couple, when are you going to get around to introducing to marriage ministry? And they go, oh, I did that 2 days ago. You say, whoa, okay, you need to update your status. I'll do it for you now, but before the next meeting, remember to update your status, okay? That's really exciting that you have that complete. We can mark that finish and it's off our clipboard. And then you go into Sam Sunday. Hey, Sam Sunday, what's going on here? You're only halfway done. Talk to Sam Sunday about that in your stand-up meeting. So quickly, you can go through the Today tab, and then you can take a peek at the Future tab. Now, this Future tab goes way out into the future. These are in date order, so you can go through the next couple of weeks or the first couple of lines here and let people know, hey, these are the tasks that are coming down. Look for them, and don't forget to update them when they come due. That's called a stand-up or a tag-in meeting, and having that will help with adoption and for people to follow through with. All right, so back at the plans, go back there. Here is the Ed Smith family plan, and there's this green component. This green part will actually show the percentage of progress. So you can see here we're probably about 15% completed with the task for the Ed Smith family. You hit the designer button, it takes you back into the actual plan itself where you can see the details. You can see here this is completed. You can see this one here has got some progress on it. And that one's completed. Okay, and so that's how you would manage the plans. All right, so we now have, let's say your church is the ABC church. So we have a customized plan for the ABC church. But if we look back at the models, we still have the model that came from the library, which had the ladies' book club in it. All right. So how do I make my customized version a model? You do that by clicking on the star. So I'm in the plans. I click on the star, and I'm going to make this the ABC family model, and I'm going to create that model. Not much happens, okay? But if I go to models, I now have two models. I have the family model that came from the library, and I've got my family model. So I can delete the one that came from the library, so I don't get confused, and I'm always using the correct family model. So now I go to plans. I'm going to add a plan. When I choose a model this time, I got the ABC model. Okay, this is going to be the Joe Johnson family. And we'll say they came on the 12th of February, and create. Okay, so now I'm on the Joe Johnson family, the 12th of February. Notice I don't have any draft task. They're all scheduled, because now Finish Line Planner knows who and when. And notice these dates are about a week later than the dates on the Ed Smith family. So it knows how to calculate these dates, and it knows who to assign. So in 2 seconds now, I have put together the follow-up plan, assigned to people to do the follow-up plan with the Joe Johnson family. The additional tasks that I would need to do is create the document in Dropbox and attach that document with the details to these individual tasks at this current version. In the future, that'll be a one-step process. And we're ready to go with Joe Johnson rather quickly. So at minimum time, we customize our plan, and at minimum time, now we can continuously do family after family after family, and these plans are ready to go. They're assigned, and you're on top of what needs to be done. So, so how do the volunteers get involved? Okay, what we've seen here so far is the administration, the pastor's view, the church administrator view of things. Okay, so we want to show you how your volunteers will get involved. So give me a minute. I need to change screens here. Let's go. There you go. Okay, so we should be back at our slides. And so here is the clipboard. And on this clipboard on today, we have 3 tasks. And all 3 of these tasks are assigned to Hugh Plappert. We have the introduce to marriage ministry, meet the family, initial call. Now, to get to this, we have to go to a browser. We have to log into a website to get this tab and get these tasks and to update them and add notes, et cetera, and so forth. That's a little cumbersome. It's a little training involved there for your people. Some of your people may not be easily adaptable to the technology. And so what we've done at Finish Line Planner is we developed a tool called the Appless app. What happens is on the date, you notice these are all January the 30th set up here, that you need to work on something. It will show up in a text message like the one you see here on the screen on the right-hand side. Okay, and these will continue to show up until they're completed. So if you don't work on them today, they'll be there tomorrow. If you don't work on them tomorrow, they're going to be there the next day. All right, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3. So you notice that the introduce to marriage ministry is number 1. Meet the family is number 2. Initial call is number 3. So what they are seeing in their text message is the Today tab for their assignment. Okay, and they only will get those that they are assigned to. So if you're Today tab as a pastor, you may have 12, right? But only 3 of them belong to me. I'm only going to get those 3 items in my text message and numbered off as 1, 2, and 3. The families, your volunteers, are very busy people. They have a lot on their shoulders with their jobs and their families and their personal responsibilities. And there's only so many hours in the day. And so them not having to install any software, there's no software installed. The Apple's app is all done through texting. There's very minimal training, as you'll see here in a minute, for them to know how to use it. But with that text in their pocket, in their cell phone, there as a reminder, day after day until they get to it, works on their schedule, works when they're available to address those tasks remotely. So once they receive these tasks, they can respond. And in this case, we're seeing 2 is 100 and 3 is 50. So task number 2 and 3, which we can go back here and look at that. 2 is meet the family, which was 100, and initial call was 3. That's why he's texting back. So they're responding back through texting the statuses of their tasks. Again, there's 2 is 100, was already sent. 3 is 50, they're typing that in, getting ready to send that. Well, you as a pastor have tons of responsibilities and have a lot to do. So you don't have time to be on Finish Line Planner all the time. But as a pastor, you go back into the clipboard to look at the status. Now, there were 3 tasks there for Hugh Plappert, but you notice now there's only 2. So what happened? When it said 2 is 100, it went completed, it turned green, and it went to the recent work tab. When it said 3 is 50, it moved that dot to the 50% spot. And so you can see that it is in progress. So through texting, your members are controlling their task and the status of those tasks without logging in, without installing any application or software. And as you saw there, just minimal training. Tell us the number of the task, use the word is, and give us the percentage, but don't use the percent sign. Okay, just say 50, 100, 25, 75, or 0 to move that little dot. We don't have time today, but you can also from here add notes, read the notes, access the attached documents from Dropbox, and actually open up those documents and update them from your cell phone, again, with only using texting commands, sending and receiving of texting commands.